Okay, so like, subscribe, you know the deal. This podcast, and I apologize. I had this written up. This should have been the first podcast we did in the series. For the people that are fairly new to this, some of you knuckle draggers that have been doing this for a long time, you got your bunker set up, whatever. I don't even know if you want to listen to this one. You're welcome to, obviously, but it's going to be a lot of explanations, the state of mind, the image portrayed by brand new to this whole getting prepared image. I don't even know how to say what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say the new people that are spending the money and buying the gear, they're lost out in left field because of what these tactical false prophets have told them how much gear to get and yada, yada, yada. And they give you this list of things that you're going to need. And it's just convenient that they sell it on their websites. So we're going to take a different approach for the new people. Stay with me. We're only going to do this one more time, but I'm being asked questions, and it's pretty much the same questions over and over again. So I'm trying to address all those questions in this podcast. And like I said, if you're comfortable with your level of preparing and your mind, your approach to the actual act of preparing and what it takes and what to and what not to discuss and who to and who not to discuss things with, yeah, drop it, man. You can wait for the next one to drop. You can wait for the next podcast to drop. This one's probably going to be old news to you, but if you're new to it or you're still not sure on what's going on, I urge you to listen to this. And before we go on, I'm going to have a drink of coffee. You know me and coffee. Oh, that's a good cup of coffee. All right. Again, this should have been first, and I apologize, but let's just knock it out right now. I was online the last couple days. During my recovery period, trying to get an idea of where most people's minds are, both pro and con prepping. I'm really trying to move away from that word prepping. It's just such a negative connotation that people use it in an aggressively negative way towards what we're trying to do. They're the same wimps, nerds, and guys named Larry that are going to be knocking at our doors asking for food, water, and protection if something goes down. And I'm not saying something's going to go down. If something goes down. Most of the people that are against preppers have only been exposed to the guy at work that he's stealing 40 rolls of toilet paper every week and all the condiments from the break room for his doomsday bunker that he can't stop talking about. First of all, I'd like to do a public service here and say, if this is you, if I'm talking about you stealing shit from work to stock your bunker, stop it. It's pathetic and wrong on so many levels, and you're one of the reasons people look at us like we're lunatics. Just stop it. So let's start something new. Let's get ourselves unsnarled from the Doomsday Prepper name or simply Prepper stigma, and let's just start to say we are prepared, getting prepared, or my personal favorite, and it makes people stop and think for a second. I say, if they ask me, I say, I'm not unprepared. I'm a dick. It's just what I do. So again, if you're that guy that likes to talk about preparing and what you're prepared for and your Geiger counter is out in your car, how about we just start to think over there, you freaking dead bird on the end of the stick, you're making us all look bad. Stop it. Let's not really discuss this with anyone other than members of our respective mags. This could be the first important thing you have ever done with your life. You want to brag about it, of course, or at least let people know you're capable of something other than your 9-to-5 death sentence every day. You are correct in thinking that what we are doing is important, but it's not for everyone. If you continue to talk about this, most people will think of you as a hoarder or a hermit or worse. So do us all a favor, sit down and have a nice big cup of shut the fuck up. I would really like for this podcast to discuss what being prepared is really all about. And yes, I need another hit of coffee. Hold on. We do this without going into crazy details about every phase of being prepared, the psychology of being prepared, or timelines created by the same people who brought us the Inca death clock. We are preparing. No one is 100% prepared. Think of it that way. Think of the notion of the Inca death clock and how funny it was to most of us. How some people took it seriously. Those who did not take it seriously jeered at the believers that the Incas could predict the end of civilization as we know it, on a stone tablet, no less. This is how some people will look at you if you let them in on the notion that you are a prepper. Keep it to yourself. I'm trying to talk slow so it's clear. To drill down further, most people think preparedness is about stuff, food, storage, gear, gadgets. No way, Ozzy. Welcome to the shit show. Honestly, if you're going to drill down on this with me, welcome to the shit show. If you're really not educated on the mindset and things that need to be done to be successful, don't forget, if nothing else lands, the more you talk about it, the more people know where to go for food and this and that. And if you honestly think that you're going to keep your bunker in the woods a secret, if you're already talking about it, you're going to soon, if you haven't already, start telling people where it's at. You've lost already, and the disaster hasn't even started. You got to shut up. You really got to start shutting up and not talking about this shit. This podcast is about real preparedness, not fear, not hype, and definitely not shopping lists. I mean, we have shopping lists to save money for an idea, but we're not pushing it. This whole thing is about knowledge, how to think, which would be the state of mind, warrior mindset, or survival mindset. How to decide what has your training prepared you for, and how to act when it actually matters. And this is going to be so deep. I mean, I'm going to pause briefly for another sip of coffee when you hear this. This is so deep. I borrowed this from someone, okay? Here we go. Because when things go wrong, and eventually they will, you won't rise to the level of your gear. You will fall to the level of your training and preparedness. Boom. There you go. Smoke on that for a minute. I gotta drink some more coffee. Okay. The problem with prepping. Start with the hard truth. Somewhere along the way, preparedness got hijacked by capitalists. And I don't say that like capitalists are a bad thing. I'm just saying these people zeroed in on prepping and saw a way to take advantage of people and their money. Capitalists. For example, when from a few good people online were trying to teach the lesser trained, no military experience, or even military personnel whose only job was to, check the pressure on Humvees tires, or maybe even slap oatmeal onto a tray at 0430. The people that were trying to do nice and good and educate people were just blasted off the map by these tactical false prophets with their flashy intro music. Yeah, I know I got intro music, but, bear with me. They have explosions in theirs. I don't. Sometimes they let theirs go on a lot longer while they're, I don't know, whatever they're doing to prepare. People were being trained in real survival skills, food storage, and communications before the tactical false prophets came along. The whole thing is turned into a basement full of supplies for those people that listen to the TFPs. You got $10,000 worth of equipment, dried food, and MREs, and anything else that TFPs recommended that you sold or that they sold on their website. And the belief that buying things equals being ready. Oh, you got to be kidding me, man! People actually believe this. No shit, these people with a grasp of what could be coming and what it will be like really think they are prepared because they have $500 worth of toilet paper with no real training. Man, you're not even going to have an ass to wipe if you don't know what you're doing. Here's the problem. Your gear doesn't make decisions. Your gear doesn't stay calm. Your gear doesn't adapt when the plan falls short. People do. Trained and prepared people do. And most people, good people, smart people, have never been taught how to think under pressure. This is true. Some people get that training at work. The corporate, level people get that at work. But schmoes like you and me, blue collars, we don't get that training. We're not worthy of it. These people that are good people and that want to do this right, that want to prepare, they've really never had to ask what is actually happening right now when shit's going on, when the shit's going down. They've never had to ask what matters the most in the next 10 minutes because they've never been exposed to it. They've never had to ask what can I control and what can I control. It might be a situation where all three questions happen simultaneously and these poor unprepared schmoes have 15 seconds to work out all three. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. So when something unexpected happens, they freeze. Not because they're weak, but because they've never trained their mind for that moment. Survival mindset, dude. I'm telling you. And when I say dude, I mean dudes and dudettes. Just don't make me do this. I saw Hegseth do it, and I almost cried laughing because he was trying to explain why when I say my boys in the air, it also includes the girls because some freaking left-wing news station wants to ask him why they're not talking about the women. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant here, but this pisses me off. It's one of those things like, of course the women are included in that. It's a compliment, and I think it's a pat on the back to say they're included with it, and they're not compartmentalizing who's where. So good for Hegseth. Screw these reporters. Okay, let's talk about what preparedness really is. Or actually, first let's talk about what it isn't. It isn't a pile of supplies. Preparedness is a way of thinking, survival mindset, and when it comes down to it, warrior mindset. At its core, preparedness is three things. Okay, now seriously, this is good shit. Listen. Awareness, seeing what others miss, or worse than that, choose to miss out of fear and confusion, subconsciously sometimes. Decision making, choosing a course of action quickly and confidently. The untrained will hesitate and at the moment of truth, shut down, or worse, make a bad decision that affects everyone around them. Adaptability, adjusting when it really doesn't match the plan. This is when things go south and you don't have something on a piece of paper to look at how to do. This is when you extrapolate a successful situation and survival plan out of what you've already been trained. And if you've been trained enough, 99% of the time, you'll be able to pull off an extrapolated plan. It's what the military is all about. Any of you grunts out there that are listening to this know exactly what I'm talking about. The problem is, good luck getting Gen Z to adapt. If the phone towers aren't working, they're lost. Right there, they're lost. You're going to be dragging a zombie through the woods. So that's what it comes down to. The strongest mind will win in a non-combat situation. A non-combat situation. Everything else, food, water, tools, hell, they're just support systems for what you need to do in that 3 seconds. So it doesn't matter how big of a pile of supplies you have. If you're not ready in that first 3 to 5 seconds of a oh shit situation, what you're going to do what you're going to do when. All the supplies, they're just going to be there for me when I decide I want to go take them because you're done. And it's nothing I did. You just didn't take the time to learn. Think about it like this. Two people are in the exact same situation, same resources, same environment. One panics, the other prioritizes, adapts, and moves forward. The difference isn't what they owned at that moment. It's what they knew at that moment. The mental conditioning will take some time, some studying, and some perseverance. Or let's say persistence. You got to know whether to go or don't go, climb a mountain or dig a hole to get into, run, or actually stand your ground. These type of situations must be studied and practiced until it all becomes a sort of muscle memory. And I'll tell you what, you're lucky if you get 5 seconds to make these decisions. So Let's talk about why people fail in a crisis. Just stay with me. I'm scrolling through the outline I created. I must have been half asleep. It's all good stuff. I just got to get it in order in my head when I say it. This is what I do when I can't sleep, by the way. So why do people fail when things go wrong? It usually comes down to one of three things, combination of one or two, or even all of them. The first problem, a normalcy bias. Let me explain that. That's some pretty big words for us grunts. Normalcy bias. It's when people assume things will keep working the way they always have. Even when the evidence says otherwise, even when what you're looking at with your own two eyes says otherwise, you just tell yourself, well, it's always worked. It's going to keep working. We face this every day. We face this situation every day. It's our national power grid. And I'm telling you, that thing is one toaster thrown into some poor bastard's bathtub away from collapsing in on itself. That's right. It is in bad, bad shape. I got to tell you, this is some really good coffee. And no, I'm not going to say the name. I'm not going to sponsor someone that's not paying us to be sponsored. While I do agree that it does have to do with prepping, I can't do shit without a cup of coffee. We're holding out for sponsors and everything else. Like I said, we've already had a few, but they don't align with what we're trying to do. I'm working with one of them right now to try to come up with something adaptable, and I think we might have it. So before long, you might be getting a sponsorship advertisement either in the beginning, middle, or end of the podcast. So stand by. I actually like the shit they're pushing. So, all right. What we're going over what things or how people fail when things go wrong. We've already hit on normalcy bias. We're going to go to number 2, lack of prioritization. It's when people try to do everything all at once instead of focusing on what matters right now. The survivor mindset and muscle memory is how we beat lack of prioritization. It's the one way. If you can look at a situation and size it up, the quicker the better, but it has to be sized up correctly. You have to know how to be prepared. Are you prepared? Did you prepare in a way that it could be used for almost anything, as at least at a base? And that's where your prioritization comes in. Do the things I have that I said would work for any situation, can I make any of that a priority depending on how things escalate? I know what I'm trying to say. I hope it made sense. It's basically saying your base level prioritization should be able to work in almost any crisis, at least to start. Yeah, that makes more sense. Let's go with that. By the time this shit really goes down, you should already have this stuff and should already be almost second nature almost every time. The third situation that really causes a lot of failures is emotional overload. Fear, confusion, and stress take over decision-making in an instant. I mean, this is like you don't even know it's taken over and it's already kicking your ass. Emotional overload is the killer. This is the one that will take you and your mag out if you let emotions take over rather than muscle memory and the survival mindset. You got to be able to pull yourself away from it, look down on it, and fix it, and then get back into it. But you almost have to pull yourself completely out of the situation and then get back into it. Here's the key. None of those that are fixed in buying more gear all the time are ever really ready. They put this psychological dependence on gear that's still in boxes that's never even been opened up. They're not gonna make it, or at least not thrive. Let's say they won't thrive. Like I said on a podcast, I think 2 or 3 podcasts ago, you can have $5,000 worth of canned goods, but if you don't have a simple manual operated can opener, what good are the canned goods? You're not going to chew through the can. You're not going to open it by throwing it at a wall. You're going to starve with $500 worth of canned goods in front of you. Horrible way to go. Simply put, problems are first fixed by understanding them and how to react, training your mind, and doing all this ahead of time, not trying to learn on the run. It never works. So I'm hoping what I'm going to talk about is a better approach. I really hope this really is a better approach. What does preparedness really look like? Okay, from outside looking in, say you just committed to doing something, starting to get prepared, real small at first, but you want to do it, and there's somebody there that's very experienced taking you by the hand and telling you this, okay? It has to start small. It has to be realistic, and you can't clear your bank account buying shit. You can't max out your credit cards buying shit. It's all going to come back and bite you on the ass when you're not ready for it. There's not much you can do to prepare that's going to save you from overcharging your credit cards and overdrafting your bank account. So start small. Don't be spending more than, what you absolutely have to. Let's say it starts even smaller than buying gear. Now that I'm thinking about it, and I'll tell you what. Absolutely. It starts even smaller than buying gear. It starts with asking better questions before you start preparing. You're going to be asking people that know, and if they don't know, well, here's the problem. You're going to have to look it up yourself. Some people like me are more than happy to help you with a simple email, but, most people are too proud to ask, so you're going to have to deal with it. If you don't have someone experienced, and I'm not talking about Rich, the guy that does building maintenance at some school, that's the one stealing 40 rolls of toilet paper and what the hell he's going to do with 300 boxes of pens and shit like that. That's not the guy to ask. He's a fearmonger, or he's been fearmongerized. Yeah, and you can use that. I coined that word. He's been hit by the TFPs, and he's convinced that he has to have more stuff. And he only has enough stuff. Never. He's always got to have more stuff. That's not adequate. You need to ask somebody or send an email off to somebody or whatever. But the first question you're going to ask are, what are the problems I could face? And keep in mind, this changes seasonally and geographically if you are on the move. You must adapt and overcome new obstacles every time you move and every season. What are the most likely problems I could face this time of year? How about that? I like that better. Next one. What would I do if the power went out for just 24 hours? Me, I'd get a nap. But maybe you need it. Maybe somebody in your house uses a nebulizer for breathing. Maybe, you got a sick infant or something like that, and you need power. You need to be able to create warmth for some people, or like I said, that nebulizer, it's very important to keep these people on their meds. So what would you do for just 24 hours and then build on that? Start small. You also have to ask yourself, do I actually understand how basic systems work, like water or electricity? I bet and guarantee you 99% of the people listening to this have no idea how reclaimed water, both black and gray, and anything that requires more power than your phone charger, I bet you guys don't have any idea, really. I bet you don't know that after power goes down and backup power fails at water treatment plants, all that sewage is going to go back into your house. It's going to all come back into the pipes. And if you don't have a check valve in line in your system, you're going to be swimming in that shit, no pun intended. Yes, Snowflake, this means you are not prepared. This all means practicing awareness in your daily life, paying attention to everything if you can. It's exhausting, but try, and you're going to have to start looking to notice details. Okay, this is one that kills everybody, but this also means you pick up a fucking book and read about something besides Harry Potter or how many shades of gray there are. You can learn a lot from books, book learning, Words are hard, I get it, but I've learned a lot about medicinal plants. Just reading this simple, more than a pamphlet, less than a book. I've learned a lot about medicinal plants, and I will tell you from experience, this is just a sample. The bark off of a birch tree, if you grind it up in hot water and let it steep for a little while and drink that water, It'll cure a headache better than Advil. Being better, real preparedness means you're going to have to remove uncertainty in a lot of situations. First 24 hours, do I have enough food? I don't know. That's uncertainty. First 3 days, do I have enough water? I'm not sure. That's uncertainty. Start small and build up. This week, do I have enough water for 3 days? Yes. Well, what about a week? That's uncertainty. Move towards building up, but move in sections. First, have enough food, water, and whatever it's going to take to stay warm for 24 hours. Then 3 days, then a week, and you keep going on with it. But don't you dare crash your checking account or your credit cards to do it. It's just, I said in the last podcast, I believe, or the one before, how exhausting this all can be, and it mentally exhausting it is. But once you get it under control, it's a lot easier. Next podcast, I want to talk about a little bit more about how to recognize danger before it escalates. All kinds of danger. Home, news, whatever's coming at you. How to prioritize. I want to talk to you about how infrastructure actually works and fails, which is what I just talked about with the sewer systems backing up and coming in your houses. I want to talk to you how to make decisions under pressure and how to be the kind of person others can rely on if you want them to. You don't want to fail friends and loved ones and family. You need to be the kind of person others can rely on if you're assuming this role. You can't just tell yourself, I got $5,000 worth of survival gear in boxes over there. I still have to open them. I'm not sure what all is in that box right there. You can't be that person. You have to be able to go into that room where you have your stuff in total darkness, walk to the shelf where it is, grab it, and get out without a flashlight or anything. That's the kind of preparedness I'm talking about. There's no hype, no fantasy scenarios, no endless gear talk. We're just going to talk about more practical knowledge you can actually use. Here's one thing to think about before the next episode. If something went wrong tonight, not the end of the world, just something simple, what would you do first? And this applies to all situations. And this doesn't mean sit down and Google it. It's not when you jump on YouTube for a demonstration or to ask the guy 2 houses down because you think he might have been in the military. As soon as something goes down, something catastrophic goes down, what are you going to do in those first seconds? What's the first thing you're going to do? And it's the same for all emergencies. When you have to stop in an emergency to learn, familiarize, or grasp how something is fixed or works, it's when everything falls apart, people get hurt or worse. If you're not ready, shit's going to fall apart real fast. You have to be able to rely on yourself and your training. You have to be confident in your training, whether you taught yourself or someone else taught you. You need to be aware of the fact that this is real training. This is what I need to know. This is good stuff. Or this is all a crock of shit because he wants to sell me something. That's where preparedness begins. And remember, it's not about what you have. 120% it's about what you know before anything you pull out of your pack, you pull off a shelf. It's what you know, not what you have. Remember that. All right. Again, more than ever, watch your back. Watch your six. For those of you that don't know what your six means. And peace out.